Welcome back to the Voices of Women Summit, where in honor of International Women's Day 2026, we are raising the voices of hundreds of women so their messages can be heard. Your host for this session is Judy Wong. Joining us from New York City, she is the Life List activator and proof that dreams don't expire. She's got another amazing guest coming right up. Take it away, Judy.
All right. We are not done yet. We have Katherine here. And I am really, really excited about this woman because dreams don't have an expiration date, but we have hidden costs of overfunctioning that limit our influence. So, oh my God, how many of you are like that? I will quietly admit me. And if you want to quietly admit, put it in the chat, me. And let me welcome Katherine Sazen. Please tell us why. How did you find that we needed to do this? What
Hey,
got
Judy,
you to do this?
you and I, we are of the same fabric, I think, right? Because look, we're full Asian. That's what we do. And I didn't set out to study about overfunctioning because we are already experts in it. But I discovered it the hard way by living it. So, this talk, it's called what? Three hidden costs of overfunctioning that can limit your influence. Influence is code for leadership. And so if you're influencing, you are a leader, even if you're influencing yourself. So you're a leader. Type me in the chat if you realize you're a leader. My talk is about leadership. Look at where we're living. In New York, you probably get the news all the time. We're living in a world filled with uncertainty. We see it globally in the Middle East and sometimes closer to home. Closer to home, this week, friends of mine were laid off just like that overnight. Moments like that just remind me of something important. Leadership matters most when people feel uncertain because uncertainty exposes what actually drives us. I know this because I lived that tension personally. And now I'm learning to be real. And you love that because, there was this season when I wore a superwoman cape. You have one too. I don't know if you box it up or you take it out every now and then. Take it to the weddings you're going to.
It's
Everything.
true.
It's true,
We
right?
do. We do. Come on, listen. Let's face it. As women, forget about whether we're Asian or not. As women, how many of us were brought up that we had to be super mom, superstar, super
Right.
CEO? Like,
Yep.
oh my God, that
Absolutely.
is so true.
Yeah, you've got to be steady, you've got to be productive, capable, the glue person, the welcoming presence, everyone who you hold everything, right? And that's what we were talking about earlier. Like, what do moms do? They do everything. And as long as I was calm, I looked competent. But when pressure rose, something else was revealed and it was costly. You see, stability hides our leadership, but uncertainty and instability, they expose the quality of our leadership. And look, we are in uncertain times. We don't have to look far. And this is revealing what kind of leaders we are. And I got to wake up one morning. This was my awakening. It seemed like an ordinary morning, but when I woke up, I had this sick feeling in my stomach. The kind that tells you something is wrong before your mind catches up. And then I remembered what I had forgotten. Oh my goodness. I had missed the company's property tax deadline by one day. So it cost the organization money, but it cost me sleep. And more than that, well, it shook my confidence. That superwoman cape was starting to fall off. I was supposed to be the responsible one, the dependable one, the one who didn't drop balls because I could juggle them. You can juggle them too, right, Judy? But that morning,
We do just be a mom and you have to juggle,
right?
I mean, and I was a mom, I was a CEO, I had my own businesses. I mean, talk about juggle.
Absolutely. But when things start to shake, like that morning, it revealed something that I really hadn't wanted to see. Because I thought I was leading with excellence, but actually I was leading with fear. Oh, dare I say that? Fear that if I didn't hold it together, something would fall apart. And if something fell apart, what would it mean? It would mean that I was not enough. Oh, shame, right? And so that's when I began to understand this thing called over functioning. You know it, over functioning. Well, let's define it. It's when we take on one more responsibility or more responsibilities than are actually ours to carry. And soon the load outweighs our capacity. On the surface, it looks noble, and we equate caring with carrying. So the more we care, the more we carry. But underneath is this undercurrent of fear. So I also call this the one more syndrome. One more problem to fix, one more task, one more thing to carry, and please don't drop anything. You know what? But what surprised me was the response of the board. They didn't question my competence, but they offered me grace. And in that moment, I realized something important. I didn't actually need my superwoman cape. See, it was okay to be real. And I think that when they gave me permission, they were also giving themselves permission to be real. But we normalize overfunctioning so that sometimes we don't even see it. So I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine was a high-level accountant. I know, I was an accountant, and this industry, it just expects more of you than is normal. But she would then normally work long hours. One evening, around 8 p.m., she's still at work. Her mother-in-law calls. Her mother-in-law was babysitting for her. She called and asked, "Are you ready to come home?" Well, my friend checked her calendar and watch and said, I don't think I need to bring the kids anywhere tonight, so I'll come home in a little bit. And her mother-in-law said quietly, but it's your daughter's birthday. Well, now in their culture, they didn't throw big parties or she would have remembered, but they always had cake. They always paused to honor the child. But in that moment, it hit her. You see, she loved her daughter. She wasn't being careless. She had simply been carrying too much, and something sacred slipped. It was inevitable. And overfunctioning, how does it start? With responsibility, not neglect. It begins with, oh, I'll just handle this. I'll just stay a little longer. I'll just make sure it gets done right. And then slowly, little by little, we start measuring ourselves by how much we can carry. Now, I don't know, maybe some people here can relate. And maybe your wake-up moment isn't a tax deadline. Maybe it's an overlooked email, a missed conversation, a detail that slipped. And when pressure rises, as it will, the question isn't just, what did I miss? Or what did I mess up? The real question is, what has been driving me all along? Now, thankfully, not everyone is an overfunctioner. Most overfunctioners are partnered with someone who's more balanced, someone who can see the pattern more clearly. Now, this is what the pattern might look like. Oh, honey, just one more thing. I just have one more task. Let's just make one more stop. And suddenly they're running late. They're racing to the next commitment. And frustration is rising in the car, right? You can feel it. You've been there, Judy. This is your car too. One person says, well, if you hadn't taken on one more, we wouldn't be rushing. And the other person says, well, if you had just helped me, it would have gone much faster. And by the time they arrive, maybe at church or at school or at that dinner appointment, they get out of the car and everyone pastes on a smile. Calm on the outside, tense on the inside. I know this because it happened in our car. And one day I realized something sobering. See, I wasn't just modeling responsibility. I was modeling speed, pressure, and the art of appearing fine. And then I looked in the rearview mirror and I saw our children. They had been watching us. They were watching what we did, and they were learning how to be. They were learning that leadership, well, it means carrying everything, right? That urgency is normal, that tension can appear invisible if you smile hard enough or long enough. So overfunctioning wasn't just exhausting us. We were actually training the next generation. So remember, our leadership isn't proven when everything looks smooth. It's actually revealed in the pressure moments, the tense car rides, the missed deadlines, the rushed arrivals. And so professionally, it was a missed tax deadline. Relationally, it looked like a forgotten birthday. Generationally, it looked like smiling at church after arguing in the car just moments before. Different settings, same pattern. And when fear drives that pattern of overfunctioning, what happens is 3 costs emerge. Yep, 3 costs. Well, what's the first cost? The first cost is the bottleneck. What is that? Well, it's when everything flows through one person, decisions, approvals, problem solving. Does that sound familiar? Now, it may look like efficient management, but everything slows down. So now, even if that person is brilliant, and they're usually the go-to person, the glue, sometimes even the founder of an organization, growth gets capped by one person's capacity. They become the ceiling, the limit, the bottleneck. And so if you're the only one who knows how to do everything, well, congratulations. You've just built yourself a very exhausting job. Leadership is not about being indispensable, although that might give you job security. Leadership is developing others so that no one has to be the bottleneck, and you don't need to be the bottleneck. So if you step back and everything collapses, well, you didn't build a team. You built dependency. Because when everything must flow through you, nothing grows beyond you. That's the bottleneck.
So what's the next one?
The next one is the quiet room. Oh, the quiet room. The quiet room is when people go quiet. They stop pushing back. They stop offering ideas and honest feedback. And it's not because they don't care. I mean, they usually care. But when you have a strong leader who already has all the answers, you figure, well, what's the point, right? So although you believe that you're being helpful and efficient as a leader, you just might be training your people to hold back. So when you carry every decision, nothing can multiply beyond you. You see, when one voice carries too much weight, other voices get quieter. You know what that's like in rooms when people monopolize. And then those other voices, well, they just feel unnecessary. And initiative usually drops, creativity stalls, and others shrink. And so the room goes quiet. So ask yourself, if people are always coming to you first, have you trained them to do that? I mean, it's okay if they were young kids, but when they become adults, maybe they can think too. Now, if the thought of someone else doing your task imperfectly makes your eye twitch, well, maybe you're just more attached to control than you realize. And if no one challenges you, well, your leadership is shrinking, it's not growing. So let's remember, when you carry every decision, you silence future leaders, and that's why the room goes quiet.
All right. So we've got it. The bottleneck, the quiet room. What's the third one?
Exhaustion. Oh my goodness, you know this. I mean, don't you just get exhausted thinking about all the things you juggled just in the last day? How much the last week, right? And we think exhaustion is just part of being productive, but it slowly drains us. And yet we call it being dedicated. But chronic exhaustion, well, it's really a red flag. So let me tell you a story. It's an old story. It's about a messenger sent by a king to deliver a letter. And on the way, this messenger sees so many needs that he knows he can help with. He stops, he solves problems, he does good deeds, he feels so useful. And then when he finally returns, oh, he's just so proud of all he's done. But the king asks him one simple question. You know what that question is. What about the letter? And that's when the messenger realizes, oops, I served everyone, but I forgot the one thing that I was entrusted to deliver. This is the lesson for us. Each of us is entrusted with a letter. And somewhere along the way, it gets so easy to start collecting other people's letters, our team's letters, our family's letters, our own kids' letters. How about God's letters? And then we call it being helpful or responsible. But actually, it's misalignment. Overfunctioning feels like that. When we help everyone, we solve everyone's problems, we carry so much, and sometimes we forget the mission that was actually ours to carry. And leadership is the letter. We're entrusted with something, a team, a family, a vision. We're not entrusted with everything. And if we try to do everything, we soon realize that we have spread ourselves so thinly that we actually become a disservice to the very ones we are trying to serve. Isn't that sad? You know, at some point, I had to discern what was actually mine to carry. That's when my body wrote me a letter. On it was one big word, followed by three others. Cancer. Rest, release, and receive. Yeah, exhaustion was the echo of my misassigned responsibility. Now, leadership doesn't mean that we carry everything. It means that we steward what we've been entrusted with. And what we've been entrusted with are people, not just outcomes, not just metrics. I mean, you are a CEO, you know that those are important. We are entrusted with people. People are so important. And that's where leadership really shifts. Because when fear drives leadership, which is the undercurrent of the overfunctioner, people become resources for the result. But when love drives leadership, results grow because people feel seen, they feel heard, and they feel safe. And when safety is present, then people speak up honestly. They develop confidence, camaraderie, trust, and they take ownership. And leadership then multiplies. Maybe you've heard this wise saying, we don't use people to build our business. We use our business to build people. And so, when our leadership is anchored in God's love instead of fear, we remember that our role isn't to carry everything, it's to steward the people that He has entrusted to us. And you know why that's important, Judy? Why do you think it's important?
You know what? You're right. We need these things because otherwise we're not going to be around to be there for anybody, you know?
Right. Exactly. Perfect. And look at the world we're living in. We're living in a world filled with uncertainty. Budgets are tightening. Conflicts are rising. The news reminds us every day that stability is fragile. So we may not be able to stop uncertainty on a grand scale, but we can certainly refuse to feed uncertainty and fear around us by how we lead. Now, we know that leadership isn't proven when everything is predictable and steady, right? It's revealed when people feel uncertain. And the question is not, will uncertainty come? It will. It has. And in these uncertain times, leadership isn't defined by how much we carry, it's defined by what governs our leadership, our influence. Fear? Fear tightens. Love? Love steadies and expands. And the kind of leader you choose to be will shape more than you know. Thanks.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but that was freaking golden. That is so golden. And yes, I totally get that. I totally get that. You know what my wake up was? I got
What?
an ulcer.
Okay.
I got an ulcer at 16 years old when I was so over functioning. I was sleeping 15 minutes a night.
Oh my goodness. Burning your
That's not
candle at both
healthy.
ends, right?
Not
Yeah.
healthy.
Not
Not
healthy at
healthy.
all.
Not healthy. I wish you were there then, because I could have used that. But all right, guys,
You woke up. You woke up.
this
I'm so glad.
this amazing, beautiful woman, she is going, this is why you have to be here. This is why you got to do these things. She's got an amazing gift for you guys. 5 shifts to stop disappearing and start blooming. And please, Katherine, tell us a little bit about that. And guys, click on the link, please, while she's telling you, so that I know that the link is working, because the link gets funky sometimes. So, Katherine, tell me about this. Tell us about this.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's a short guide that I've developed, and it's called, as you say, Remember Who You Are. Because when you know who you are, then you don't need to operate out of fear. You know that you're already unconditionally loved. And so then these are 5 shifts that I offer you so that you stop disappearing into who you think you should be and you start blooming as who you really are. It's really a gentle invitation for women who recognize themselves, perhaps in this conversation, so that they can reconnect with their voice, their worth, and the life that they were meant to live.
Oh my God, that is golden. Guys, is it golden? It is. And let's meet on the other side in the wrap up call. But before we run away, Katherine, do you have any last words of wisdom for everybody here tonight?
Oh, I do. Before we close, let me leave you with 3 questions. 1, have you confused being indispensable with being significant? Are you the bottleneck? 2, are you carrying responsibilities that are truly yours or ones that you're afraid to let go of? Do you feel exhausted? 3, if your worth were already settled and you didn't have to prove anything, how would you lead differently tomorrow? Would the room get quieter or happier? Would you lead from love versus fear? Because here's the truth, everybody. Love creates safety, and safety allows people to grow. And when people grow, leadership multiplies. So just remember this: you don't have to be superwoman to be significant. You just have to be real.
I love that. I love that. Be real. Be you.
Be real.
Be
Be
the
you.
best. Be the
Yes, you are
best.
the
I
best.
love it. Silverino, darling, take us home.
Wow, that was an amazing speaker, but it's not over yet. Up next is our wrap-up call, where you'll get to share your takeaways and gratitudes for the day. That's right, it's your turn to grab the mic and share your thoughts on the amazing speakers we've had today. Stay tuned. We've got the wrap-up call up next.
Click on the link below. You don't want to miss this one.